much. I am so grateful people even want to tune in. If you are watching this by rebroadcast, thank you so much. Yes, we are live. This is the first Sunday in September, and thank you so much for being with us. I am Ed Montgomery. They call me Dr. Ed, and I am just grateful to even be in this spot with you today. First of all, let me say this just very quickly, and then I'll say a little. I want to say a little bit more later on. Because later on in the show, I'm going to be praying for you and just really lifting you, your family, your children, as people prepare to do school online, Zoom, however they're going to do it. But I think this is going to be a wonderful time to pray. Secondly, we're going to be doing what we call communion, or that family meal together. I know we're not eating through plastic or tubes and cameras, but it's what we consider to be our connection. This is our first Sunday, and especially to my ALC family. But let me say this first of all. Thank you so much for your prayers for our family and for lifting us up and for keeping us through this particular time. I'm going to talk about that later because I want to get to something very important for you and to you. So make sure you take a moment. Any comments you have, holler at me, say, hey, I'm listening, I see them. You can always clap your hands or shout amen or wave because I'm right here. Secondly, take a moment and share. If it's something you say, listen, this is a good time to share this. If some of your friends have asked, hey, tell them, share these things with me because I like hearing what he has to say. Go ahead and share it. And of course, if you're watching my YouTube, smash that subscribe button so all of these things keep coming to you. And those comments where you're listening from, where you're watching from, all make a difference. If you notice in this title, I am talking about 5 things that you're going to need to survive in the rest of these days, the rest of 2020. Because, listen, you know as well as I know, this has been a rough one. And I'm not going to be here long because I'm trying to make sure that, the old guy don't go down the rabbit holes and that I don't find myself rambling into so many different areas. I want to stay right here on cue. Several weeks ago, I had begun something and I was talking about David and Goliath. And I was talking about what it took for David to bring down Goliath, which symbolizes so many giants and big things and opportunities that can be overwhelming in our lives. Believe me, if you try to think more than 1 or 2 days ahead or a week ahead, those things can be very overwhelming in your life. They can become giants. Debt, bills, all of these things can become giants in your life. Sickness, even the fear of it can become giants. And so I was talking about how can an underdog Someone who does not have the skills of a giant or the skills of someone who is used to taking other people down, how in the world do you survive in this world? And we know, oh my goodness, we know what the giant is in our society right now. We know that's coronavirus. We know that's COVID-19. Now we're in the middle of elections. We're in the middle of watching race rear its head up. Seeing friends that we thought years were very close friends, and we never talked about race. People talked about things being colorblind. But now we're discovering things were not as colorblind as we thought. People are feeling differently about their relationships. We're not conversing as we used to. But I'm going to tell you something. We have to get back. I want to get back to the days when we could sit down with each other. And even though we were different colors and different backgrounds and cultures, we could at least say, hey, man, that's not cool to say that. That's not cool to say that. This is not the way we communicate, so that we can learn how to relate to each other. Because if you can't sit down and have dinner and food with each other, all those things being taken away, it's going to be, it has an issue, it has an effect. But what is our world going to continue to look like in the days to come? And what can I do? What can you do in order to get through it? I'm not going to be able to tell you this whole thing in just these few minutes, but I'm going to begin something today that I hope and that I pray you grab a hold. You got to grab a hold of this. And to be able to move through this muck and mire and messed up things that we are looking at. But I assure you, you can get through it. You can move forward here. With everything that's happening, you're going, three things I believe, I know three things you got to watch out for. And I want you to look closely at and keep in mind. Number one, this is not necessarily a popular statement, but things may not necessarily get better before they get worse. Yeah. We are not always going to move into better times now. I wish I could tell you, oh, from this point on, God's going to do a miracle and all of it's going to be blown away. Everything's going to be perfect. America's coming back, and I wish I could tell you those things. And Lord knows I would hope and I would pray and have faith and all of these wonderful things for that to happen. But things may get worse before they get better. Jesus, when he was walking the water, did not walk the water on calm waters. He walked the water in a storm. When he was in the wilderness, he fasted. He was hungry. He was going through physical challenges when he had to defeat the devil. David, we find out that they wound up in lions' dens. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego wound up in a fiery furnace. Yeah, Daniel in a lion's den. They went through something. Hebrews chapter 11 teaches us that there are some people did not get or receive what they wanted in faith. They had to go through something in order to get the victory. And we're not done yet in 2020. Not yet. So things may get worse before they get better. Secondly, church as we know it, especially for those of you who go to church and those of us, and I'm speaking predominantly to those because this is our church service time, Sunday mornings, 10:30 a.m. And people are saying, I can't wait to get back to church. Some of you are already sneaking in church, and be very careful, extremely careful. But the church that you knew just 3 or 4 months ago may not be the church that you're going to go back to. I know we want to go back, and sometimes we express the fact that if I can just get back there the way it was, it may not be the way it was. Now, because now some of you understand that. You had a girlfriend or a boyfriend and that you knew in high school, and you kind of figured, well, if I could just get back to my girlfriend or boyfriend I knew in high school, oh boy, and just rekindle and reignite that relationship, everything's going to be perfect. But you found out that time changes people and time changes things. Things are changing now. How we think, how we see things. The way we sing a song may not be the same. The way somebody plays an instrument may not be the same. The way someone preaches may not be the same. We've gone through things. So if you're expecting everything to be the same, if you're expecting you're left with 1,000 people, you're coming back with 1,000. No, they're not going to be any more of what we call big churches or little churches, mega churches or small churches. Those terms are old terms. See how old they sound? Even when we look back, as many of us built different kinds of churches, the old Baptist church, they still survive, but they're not quite the way they were 40 years ago. Relationships change. Church will change. And some of you may go back, some of you may not. Some of you may stay online. Some of you may wear masks continuously. Some of you may rip them off. Some of you, we don't know. And if you're looking to get back in September or October, that may not happen. Well, what about if they come up with a vaccine? Tell me, be honest with me. How many of you are going to immediately take the vaccine if the president tells you to take it? Come on. Well, so we know things may get worse before they get better. Secondly, we know church may not be the same as it was. Thirdly, it's going to be important that you have someone in your life that can mentor you spiritually and that can tutor you in some of the things of God that are going to move much deeper. It's because now it's not enough to say, hey, I'm going to pray and as the praises go up, blessings come down. Many times people are praising, the blessings not coming down fast enough. People are going through things that are hurtful, and some of the cliches we have are not always the way we want them to be. So it's going to be important to have a mentor in your life. Even pastors. Pastors are not just people who preach on Sunday or who are people that, pick the ticks off of the sheep's wool or something like that. You're looking for spiritual mentors. You're looking for people who can let you down into the deep wells of spiritual life, where you can get up in the mornings and you know what to do. You know the things that you can do that's going to get you started. How do you go to sleep at night? What's your spiritual diet? Some of us are eating all kinds of things. We've got spiritual burgers, spiritual hot dogs. Then we go over there and get spiritual soul food. Then we turn over here and we get spiritual sushi. And we mix all that stuff together. And guess what's going to happen? Yep, you're not going to make it. You're going to be bent over that bowl for the rest of the evening. What we're learning is you've got to begin to get your diet right. What is it that you want in your spirit? What do you want from your spiritual life? Do you want just to feel good as somebody put gas in your tank so it fills up on Monday and then try to go get filled up on Tuesday? Or do you want something of substance in your life? Do you want to know how God springs from the inside and keeps flowing? Well, this is what's going to be important. You're going to have to choose a mentor. You may have one or two. You may have, but you're going to have to choose someone. And you're going to have to choose a good congregation. What do you mean a congregation? We're not going to church. Church is connection of people. There are people online right now. You have no idea how much energy is flowing in this place right now. Because we're going to pray and I'm going to show you something, how to make a point of contact that I believe is going to change something. Well, here's the thing. There is a program that I am working on right now And I want you to start understanding it so you can be a part of it. It's not anything so huge that you can't learn it or figure it out. But we got it from the stones or the story of David and Goliath. And this comes right out of 1 Samuel chapter 17, around verse 40, and it moves from there. When the king of Israel spoke to David, and David said, I can kill the giant. And the king says, what makes you think you can do it? And David says, I killed a lion, I killed a bear, I was a shepherd, I got through it, I tore him to pieces. If I can kill a lion, if I can kill a bear with this little slingshot, I can also kill a giant. The king says, well, take my armor, David. Put the armor on, the breastplate, all the shins and all of the swords. And David says, I have never worked with this. It doesn't work for me. I can't move in this. He took it off. And it says, and then he went to a brook, a little bitty tiny stream. And it says, and he chose 5 smooth stones and took those 5 smooth stones, put them in a shepherd's bag. And it's from there, we've told the story. I'm not going to go back into it, but it's from there that he killed the giant. He chose a stone out of the 5 that he chose. But here's what I want you to focus on. He went to a brook and chose 5 smooth stones. Because that's what he was going to use to destroy and bring down the big thing in his life and in the life of the people around him. I believe if we could make the right choices, notice God didn't give him 5 stones. He didn't choose them for the Lord. It says he chose them for himself. David chose 5 things that he could use to bring down the giant. There are 5 things that I believe that if we have in our lives, at any moment and at any time, we can just choose one of them whenever we need, and it can bring down the giants in our lives. It can bring down the giant of fear. It can bring down the giant of sadness. It can bring down the giant of a broken heart. It can bring down the giant of, I don't know my next move. It can bring down the giant of, I don't have any direction. It can bring down the giant of, where do I go back to work? It can bring down the giant of, my whole career, my whole business is closed. What do I do? It can bring down the giant. Should I send my kids back to school or not? It can bring down the giant. Should they go virtual? Should they go live? What if this COVID gets into my house? And all of these things. There are 5 attitudes. 5 attitudes that are embodied by people that I believe you need in your life. To let go of the toxicity of the things that are there, you're going to have to make a choice now. Because you're not going to get out of this 2020 without making this choice. You're not going to make the right decisions without making these choices. Some of these people who are deciding to vote and what they're voting for and who they're voting for need to make this choice. And here's the first, here's I'm going to give you the names of them. Are you a warrior? Because the first choice is going to be about you. Who are you? Before you can come up with the other people in your life, you got to find out which one of these 5 are you. Are you a warrior? Are you an encourager? Are you a person with great faith? Are you a person that is perceptive? Are you a person that is aware? What kind of person are you? When tough times come, are you the person that jumps up and says, I'm ready to do battle. I'm ready to go right at them. Whatever it is, just point me in that direction. You always need somebody around you like that. Are you that particular person? You say, well, no. Usually I'm more reflective, then you might be a person of perception. You might be the student. You might be the scientist. You might be the medical profession that's looking at the evidence. You might be the trend person who looks at the trends and says, you know what, this does not look right. You may be that perceptive, that educated, all of us educated, but you might be that educated person that's looking through the eyes of higher education. You may be the person who is the encourager. When anybody goes down and feels down, it seems like you're right there to encourage, put courage in, where courage is not doing something within the absence of fear, it's doing it in spite of fear. You're that encourager. So you can do it. You can do it. You can get through this. Or maybe you're that person, I use trust, but a person of great faith, because the word faith actually means trust. You can be trusted with secrets. You can be trusted to be able to be a confidant. A person of great faith, that when a person loses that faith and says, I don't think I can go any further, you can say, yes, you can. And if you don't have enough faith for yourself, I'm going to have enough faith for both of us. These are the kind of people you want in your life. You've got to decide which one of these people are you. And then, secondly, surround yourself with the people that have these other characteristics. Yeah, you know what that means. That this is what you're after. Number one, discover this week. Who am I? Am I an encourager? Am I that person that has that faith? Am I that warrior? Am I that one that likes the trends, the education, the numbers, and to follow? Who am I? Am I that aware person? Who am I? As you understand that, and you get those 5, including yourself, 5 people in your life, that's you and 4 others, you're going to start moving the toxicity away. That's going to be the first step that I'm going to show you about how to get through 2020, the rest of this 2020. Because once you do that first, we're going to work on it. And it's going to be called the shepherd's bag. We're going to have, and each of us is going to be in a shepherd's bag, and we're going to have that arsenal together. I'm going to tell you the next move in the weeks to come. But we're going to work right on this week. Who am I and what am I? Listen, I'm going to pray for you, and there's a special way I'm going to pray for you today that I hope that's going to, you're going to sense it, you're going to feel it. And we're also going to do our communion, because this is the meal. This is a spiritual thing that we do each month that helps us to take the next step into doing some things in the month to come that will keep us solid and strong. Take a moment, take a time, right here, right now. You know, when people give, one of the things, they're just not giving to keep lights on the cameras, but it's a message. You're joining who you are with who we are. ALC, we're joined together. You're joining your name with mine. I'm joining my name with yours. We're joining our relationships with each other. There are people who say, I want to be a part of ALC. Even in this, there's no church to walk down an aisle or anything, but they say, I want to be a part. I've been away for so long, it's time for me to come back home. I want to come back home and help you, Dr. Ed. I want to come back home and help you build this next ALC Global, this next future move. I want to come back. I want to be with you and help you do it. And the easiest way to do it is just text to give is where it starts. We can do all 3, but text to give is one where you can start. And that is just type in that text amount, whether it's $5, $10, $20, whatever it is. And you can type in to the number 713-742-2035, 713-742-2035. Use that number in the 2 line, type the amount in that text message. It'll tell you what, if you make a mistake, don't worry about it. It'll tell you what to do and how to do it. You can give. Some of you are used to being tithers and offerings. Whatever you want to do, you can do it through that text. It will work. And of course, you can also use your app. Many of you have downloaded the app. Some of you have not downloaded it, but the app has so many features on it. You can listen to the radio broadcast that I do on KTSU on Mondays live. You can see other videos. You can see other things that we're going to place there in that app and leave it there for you to be able to see in the days to come. But and the number one thing, of course, you can always go on. Some of you are watching right now by our myalc.org. That's myalc.org. Go to our website and click that donate button, and it will take you immediately to the giving site. Everything safe, secure, 501c3 authorized, and all that good stuff. And we have all of our ducks lined up in a row to make sure not only will you know that that contribution is there, but you can go online, see your contribution after you give it, and then also you can track your contributions when tax time. All these wonderful things that, I don't want to bore people on this particular site right now about, but we just want you to know that we are seeing what you do, watching what you do, and we are appreciating and praying for everything that you do. As we prepare for our communion, I want to take this moment and take this time to say thank you, and I'm going to be saying thank you more than this time, but I want to say thank you here because we just had the, I don't call it a funeral, but I call it the memorial, I call it a tribute, but it was in the place of that funeral because of the whole COVID thing, the transition of Sandra Montgomery, and watching her life, which was so wonderful and still is because it lives within us. I want to say thank you, ALC, for your loving arms. As a church, oh my God, OMG, OMGGG, OM, oh my goodness, everything. You are so fantastic. I love you so much. Without you, I know we could not have gotten this far where we are. I know some people, tell me, oh, you ought to be getting over things by now. But let me tell you what my church is telling me. You take your time. We got you. We praying for you. We lifting you up. And, we make sure that the bulls stay off the perimeter. So I'm so grateful. Abundant Life Center Cathedral, I'm so grateful to you for all that you do. And I could sit here and just say thank you, thank you, thank you all day long. You can also still give, and people still trying to send flowers or resolutions, but in lieu of all of those, you can also do that text to give with Sandra's name. And many of you women, you say, well, I didn't want to give to ALC, but I want to give to help her finish her projects and to reach women. And you saw Star of Hope missions and the things we've been doing for decades. And you can also use that text to give, which is 713-742-2035. It's the same number, but you can just type in the amount and Sandra, Saundra at the end, and that money will be designated specifically for UN and for helping women, young girls in scholarships, all of those different things to become the best that they can be. All right, I want you to prepare your bread, and I want you to prepare that cup. And it's somewhere over here, I think. Oh, there it is. This is the bread. And I want you to take it, hold it in your hand, and this is not the same loaf sometimes we normally use, but this is a little bit different. And it says that Jesus took the bread and he shared it. He had to break it to share it with his friends. And that little small section or loaf, a piece, according to Corinthians, that says we are all one loaf. Let me tell you something. whether you're black, whether you're white, Latino, Asian, Native American, I don't care where you are, or which one. This makes us one people. We are kingdom people. And we're going to hammer that thing out so much that we understand that we are one body, one bread. Jesus took the bread, shared it with his friends, and he said, "This is my body." And Jesus took it, and they ate it. Surely he has borne our sicknesses and our diseases, and by his stripes, I am, you are, we are healed. My brothers and sisters, shall we all eat together? Am I close to it? There we go. Then Jesus took the cup. And he said, "This is my blood." Now understand something. Body and blood and that was a horrible religion. No, these mean something. When you take the bread, it means to learn of him, to educate yourself about him, to get to know who he is. When you think of the cup, that grape juice is what it symbolizes. When you think of the cup, what it symbolizes is the blood. In the blood, there is life. This is what the scripture says. There is life in the blood. So it's not saying that we're drinking the blood. It's saying that we're drinking life. It symbolizes we are alive. I tell all the time, when you go to the doctor, they take your blood. Why? Because they can look in the blood and find out whether your cholesterol too high, what's going on, and they can fix things. In the blood, there is your life. Jesus gave it to him and gave thanks. Lord, we thank you for life, for fullness, for completeness, for wholeness. We thank you for the last 30 days. And in the midst of all of the things we may not have liked, we still have a grateful heart. My brothers and my sisters, we have a destiny together. That's what the cup symbolizes, destiny. Shall we all drink together? I want you to prepare for this prayer right now. And I've got my hand right here. And I want you to take your hand, if you can. If it's on the screen, just place it on the screen with it. Got it? Hope I got it lined up. And just place your hand right there on my hand. Somebody once told me to do that. I thought it was the silliest thing I'd ever heard. I said, I'm not going to do it. But one day I was in need. Something was hurting my heart. And I placed my hand on that screen and I realized it had nothing to do with what that person was saying. It had to do with my faith. And the fact that I placed my hand right there. So I want you to place your hand right here. And we're going to pray. Father in heaven, I thank you for life. I thank you for being that all-encompassing spirit. You are everywhere. You are throughout this universe, throughout galaxies and stars. You are through and in and out of this planet. You are around everything. It is your power that holds everything together. The energy of galaxies, the dark matter around us, everything is you. And you took that power and you breathed into us the breath of life and we became living souls. We are alive, Father, because of you. We call you Father because Jesus called you Father. And Jesus said, when you pray, say, Our Father. So Jesus considers us just as much your sons as he is. And I pray right now that in this moment you are listening to us and that you always hear us. There are those that have been going through some guilty moments and guilty times. Remind them that their sins have been washed away. From this moment on, they can start fresh. I pray for those who have been dealing with sickness. We speak through the Spirit and through this glass and this tube and this plastic, and we declare healing in their bodies. There's been attacks on the minds and attacks on the emotions, attacks of depression. And we declare right now, in the precious name and character of Jesus Christ, that we are alive, we are living, and we have the power to speak to that depression. And if it doesn't move, we're going to just let it pass right on through us, because we are spirit and we are alive. Lord, I thank you for what you've given us, for life, for the money we do have, for what you've blessed us with, for food on our table. I thank you for the family that is around us. Lord, some of us have been hurt. We've lost loved ones, but at the same time, Lord, somehow you've kept us. I pray for them right now. And now, Lord, I pray that the future is in your hands. Lord, I release that future upon their lives. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard what you are about to do in their lives. I trust you for it, and I thank you for answering that prayer. Amen. And thank you, Lord, for being right here with us. Now heal every broken heart. Settle every mind. Push the devils back and the demons back into their corners. Give us the ability in the room to breathe. And let us settle ourselves. Be still and know that I am God. Thank you, Lord, for what you've done. And I pray for you, and we'll continue this week. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if I've forgotten anything, hey, I know you're just going to pick it up and run with it. Thank you so much. Love you so much. I shall not die, but live to declare the works of the Lord. For he must reign till every enemy is under his feet. And the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. And we will reign with him forever. God bless you. Love you so much. See you.